Tails isn't aware of any, and the two look down to see Omega. Sure, Tangle does have her trusty tail readying up.
Oh my god, here comes a giant fish!
Is sick and tired of all these stupid animals and chases God and puts it to Tangle.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the controversial Sonic IDW! Yeah! Oh god, things fell. With the controversial IDW! Alright, so it's been a minute. Last thing we read was the Surge arc, where Surge went f***ing crazy with rainbow powers, right? And she ended up getting defeated, I'm pretty sure. So now we're going into what I believe is called the Urban Warfare arc. We are now following game apologists because there's some comic dubs and then there's some that aren't comic dubs, and some of them I have to read and some of them I have to listen to dub. And I'm just not trying to do all that. I'm trying to have a consistent, easy way to get caught up to IDW, and I think this would be the best way to do it. Shadow's in this arc. From what I heard, Shadow's in this arc too, so we're gonna see what's going on. He's gonna get controversial. People told me he gets good. Well, we will see. So let's make like a Dragon Ball fan and not read. Let's do it. Again, Shadow Game Apologies. We watched a couple of his videos on here. Make some good stuff. So this character has been around. I've seen her plenty of times, and I've also seen her be brought up in conversation. And a lot of people don't like her, and I'm like, she hasn't done anything. So is this really the arc where she does something and then like she pisses everybody off? I mainly remember Sonic being infected with the metal virus, and he was sitting on the chair that she was on, and she was just like, get the fuck away from me.
So let's kick things off with issues 57, which sees the return of Ian Flynn as head writer. I know he's wrapped up his work on Frontiers quite a while back, but I think this is the first time we've seen his name on a comic script since the game's release, and it's nice to see him still jumping in and out of stories here.
I know it's not just Ian Flynn, but like for him to not be on the board, which is even crazier, because why the hell do y'all be on this nigga's neck? OD did. Y'all be on this nigga's ass. I don't think he's perfect. I got a couple problems with what he does, but I don't think it's all his fault.
And David Marriott. I have been making more of an effort to shout out the folks who work on this book, but I also need to take a quick second to give a heartfelt shout out to all the folks affected by IDW's mass layoff last month. I've been seeing a lot of discourse on whether or not this means that the Sonic series will get scrapped. Look, I'm sure the brand is going to be fine.
Evan Stanley?
39% of the IDW workforce has been shown the door, and that sucks. I really hope everybody lands on their feet. Very honored I got to meet some of those amazing folks, and I'm looking forward to whatever you guys end up doing next. But with all that said, let's carry on to the story itself. The issue picks up with Lanolin overlooking the Imperial City. This has been the backdrop for a few of the previous stories, and it looks like the Restoration is finally looking to do something about it. The Sheep is leading a recon crew consisting of Sonic, Tangle,
I definitely believe that Western niggas can write something compelling, like, right?
And this little purple music note, Wisp. Lanolin surveys the city, noting that she can't see
any signs
of traps or patrols, which she finds strange, almost as if Eggman wants the city to be invaded. And that's all Sonic and Tangle need to rush towards the city, with Whisper and Lanolin.
Look at Tangle, bro. Look at what Tangle's doing, bro. You can't tell me this wouldn't be crazy.
And that's all Sonic.
You can't tell me this wouldn't be crazy in the game. Look what she's doing.
Tangle need to rush towards.
I think in Crossworlds, you might as well put the IDW characters in there.
The Hedgehog Lemur Adrenaline Junkie duo start wrecking Badniks, with Sonic noting that they seem to be spread thinner since his last visit. With his leg fully healed, he looks ready to properly tackle.
Oh yeah, his leg was fucked up. What's up with them breaking his leg? Or just giving him injuries to his leg? Because I remember Scrapney Island did that shit too.
This new egg base. And these are just the first of the large variety of classic Badniks we will be seeing, including the Death Egg Red Eye mini boss. And I know this is a weird little nitpick, and also probably just a bit of headcanon on my part, but I've only really ever associated this particular robot with the Death Egg. Like, I always thought it was part of the Death Egg itself. And it being a mini boss, I always assumed there was only one. But Sonic Forces showed us plenty of Red Eyes in the background of their Death Egg. I don't know, I just thought it was weird seeing
It's like I do believe a majority of the time they are going for something completely different from what the original intent was. I 1000% agree with that. But I just don't like the concept of Western niggas should not even try. Because, you know what I'm saying? I've seen so many, like, stories written about, like, you know what I'm saying, you know, people on the West that are, like, really good and they know how to do deep storytelling and have, like, good meaning to shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I watched Puss in Boots, Last Wish, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've watched that movie. That movie was crazy. Pretty sure it was written by somebody in the Western. It's written by an American.
With a flick of her cowbell, she immobilizes the Red Eye, setting Whisper up to take it out with a well-aimed shot. Now, you might be wondering how Lanolin managed to do that. Well,
the bell is like her source of power.
But just to jump ahead a little bit on that one, when I was first reading this story, I was under the impression that the Magenta Wisp was another one of Whisper's, as she's the character most associated with Wisps in this series. But the more attentive fan might have noticed that Whisper doesn't have a Magenta Wisp among her crew. Turns out that this one is partnered with Lanolin, going by the name of Maggie. Okay. And it turns out that the bell Lanolin wears around her neck is actually a Wispin. And when combined with Maggie, it produces this cool ability. Now, we won't see it used for a different reason later on.
The sound wisp, you know what I'm saying, with the bell? Hold on, that's a combo. That's a combo.
Any particular target. There's a lot left for us to actually figure out, but as it stands, they did design a really cool ability to go along with a fantastic accessory to a fantastic character design. Sonic compliments the duo's work, but is met with a stern scolding from
Avatar Last Ember,
asking Sonic if they forgot why they were there, which is our cue for Flashback as the comic jumps back in time to Restoration HQ with Sonic arriving on the scene. He had been asked there by Jewel, and even though he isn't technically a part of the Restoration group, he is always happy to help them out if needed. And they want him because he's one of the few who has been to and survived the newly built Imperial City. Obviously, it's a major cause for concern, and Lanolin wants to put together a small crew that can infiltrate the base, survey it, learn as much as they can, and regroup to create a battle plan to take it down properly. Sonic, of course, agrees, and then asks if there's a team name, to which Tangle immediately responds with Diamond Cutters.
The Diamond Cutters! I've heard that name before.
Team that was ruthlessly slaughtered and deeply traumatized her, which is a story she has told
that's
Tangle.
Why
I have no idea why the lemur thought that would be a good
Okay, fuck. That's insane. Look at fucking Whisper, bro. She's going to strangle her.
Idea, because it gets the response you would expect from Whisper, silently upset. This does get noticed by Tangle, but not by Sonic and Lanolin, who is telling the Hedgehog she's been looking forward to working with him for quite a while. And Sonic apologizes, asking if they've even met before. And Lanolin responds with yes, but
I don't even know your name. I don't even know who you are.
It was brief, and she lays out not only to Sonic, but to us as the readers, that she's been around for quite a while. She tells them that they had briefly met a long while ago when her town had been attacked. And that was all the way back in issue.
It's another you inspired me, Sonic kind of thing. Okay, alright.
You too. And yeah, I went back and checked myself. I have noticed her cameos here and there.
Oh, she was back all the way issue number 2?
Or overlooked that she has been here since the 2nd issue. I
thought
her first spoken words happened much later.
She spoke
during the Metal Virus, but nope.
She spoke? Wow.
She spoke during her very first appearance. And it seems that ever since that brief encounter, Lanolin has been inspired by Sonic's bravery and dedicated herself to help.
Because I'm over here like, okay, no, I've seen her just around the Restoration. Like, I've just seen her around, but she doesn't do anything. She doesn't speak. She was just like a background character. Sonic, I find it crazy that you don't remember the person that you almost got infected, right? But like sitting on top of the chair that they were sitting on while you was infected. I find that to be kind of crazy.
Help others as well, which is what eventually led her to the Restoration, and now to here, where she not only created the mission idea, but is going to lead it herself on the field. And that's when we cut back to the present, with Tangle apologizing for jumping in as fast as she did. She's still getting the hang of the whole team dynamic situation, but she is trying. And Sonic says that slow
people
and
like the design
really
of the character, so they was like, okay, we'll just keep on using the design and keep on putting her in the back. But like everybody was just like, oh, this character's cool. What does she do? Like, what's going on there? And then eventually it was like, okay, we gotta put her into the story, I guess, because people like the design so much. Let's do something with this character. That's probably what happened.
asking Whisper how she puts up with this, and the wolf just says that she doesn't. And when Tangle asks Whisper if they need to talk about something, she just gets the cold shoulder. But no real time to deal with the awkwardness. They are now in the city proper, so Sonic asks Lanolin if they should keep heading into the city, but the sheep would like to first assess their surroundings, asking Whisper if her hover wisp can take this device, which kind of looks like an old MP3 player or one of those Famicom clone machines that you can get off AliExpress. Anyway, she asks the wisp to take it high above the city. I'm not exactly sure what that thing is, but Lanolin has a matching device, and she's using the pair to compare data of the city from Sonic's previous visit to confirm that the city has actually grown since last time. But she is
I can't wait to get the writer's art when like
so
the art
they may have to survey from a different location. But Sonic has another idea. He merges with
I'd be looking at Sonic sometimes. I'd be like,
up above the city to look at a very particular part of it. This is actually where Metal Sonic wrecked their initial escape plan, which we saw.
Maybe times in IW like that it cooks.
As Sonic points out, Eggman isn't the type to clean up after himself. It looks like the fight never even took place. The city isn't just getting bigger, it's also healing itself. So the crew put their heads together to figure out where to go next. Lanolin says that if the city is growing and healing like a living organism, then it needs resources to pull from. Sonic is very familiar with Eggman's mining equipment. It's real hard to miss, and he hasn't seen any signs of it anywhere. But Tangle points out that the trees in the surrounding area are in real bad shape, meaning they aren't getting their proper nutrients from the soil below.
So the city is draining stuff around. Like, that's kind of interesting. Hold on.
Resources are being pulled from somewhere underground. That's when Sonic remembers that Belle said at one point that there is a network of underground tunnels under the city. I mean, that is where she watched a certain platypus get crushed after all. So with all of that said, the heroes decide to track down said tunnels. Cautiously, as Lanolin says to the disappointed Sonic and Tangle. We get a fun page of action as the heroes make their way to elevators and through badniks until they finally reach the lowest possible point of the city, a concrete wall at the dead end. To get past the wall, Whisper clears a path with her Wispin, and Tangle lowers herself and Lanolin into complete darkness. The sheep rings her cowbell, and the rhythm power of Maggie echoes around, lighting up the surroundings, which I guess is another thing it can do, which, cool, alright. And all they see is a vast, empty cavern. They return to the surface where Sonic
What the fuck? Oh. This is him imagining Eggman. I thought this was like a Bleach, he's behind me, isn't he, type of fucking panel. You know, I like the ideas that be bestowed in IDW. I think they're very good. Some of the executions like but I do like the idea. This is some Eggman ass shit. Just goes to show you the whole, you know what I'm saying, industrial, like, taking over nature kind of vibe. I like it.
World. They're still not entirely sure how, but the city is stripping the world of its resources, and it could potentially do this until the entire planet is consumed. So clearly they have to do something about it. Lanolin feels that they have enough data and they need to regroup properly at Restoration HQ, but Sonic pushes back. The team is here now, and he...
Wait a minute. He's like, whoa. Hold on now. Okay. And hear me out. We just do it now. We got the team. We're in the city. And I know Eggman is in that big, ugly tower at the middle of it all. That's far too dangerous. The team is untested, and you barely escaped last time. We need to marshal more forces first. You guys are super powered animals, bro. I'm pretty sure y'all got this.
Already knows that Eggman is up in that big tower in the middle.
I'm assuming she's great at parties, guys. I'm assuming she's great at parties.
The city. Okay. So they might as well take care of the problem while they're here. Lanolin argues that the team is barely tested, as we have clearly seen at the start of this issue, and they need to go back and marshal their forces. To which Sonic asks, how much bigger will the city get while they're doing that? While those two debate, Tangle says they both make good points, and Whisper attempts a compromise, telling Tangle to fall back while the wolf sticks around in the city to keep scouting. This gets a loud no from Tangle, saying that Whisper just survived a close call while going solo and she needs to quit that nonsense. And the close call she's referring to, if you're not aware, was when she was absolutely schooled by a beefed up Surge. But before any debates can carry on, a strange device, or, well, a ring.
So does Whisper ever get out of this whole, like, yeah, I gotta do things alone?
In front of our heroes, and it lights
I feel like they've done that a whole bunch of times, and it's just like, oh yeah,
we saw back in issues 37 through 40.
She's still like,
for those of you only keeping track by speed reading episodes, that was the one where Sonic ended up in the back rooms. And being the old man I am, I had no idea that the back rooms were a thing until I saw the comments of that video, so thank you guys for turning me on to that. I know it's played out and tired by now, but I still think it's a fun concept. Anyway, the portable portal rushes towards our heroes, who run away best they can, with Tangle grabbing Lanolin and Whisper with her tail, while Sonic grabs the lemur by the hand, using his speed to drag the rest of them along. But unfortunately, they're ambushed by a bunch of badniks, including these turtleoids. I'm so happy these guys are getting so much love in recent issues. With the approaching portal and the surrounding badniks,
we love the
they can't use the elevator to get back up. So Sonic has to use the badniks and his speed to bounce his way up the elevator shaft. And just as they clear it, a zoomer dashes between the hands of Tangle and Sonic, breaking their grip and sending the lemur, as well as Lanolin and Whisper, into the portal. Those damn zoomers always ruining everything when it comes to Sonic. Am I right? That's the name of the hummingbird.
I was say, what the hell?
Blame me.
What are those things?
Sonic dodges a few more zoomers, maybe I have, but ends up surrounded by a slew of attacking badniks. And while he's not proud of it, he has to call Jewel, asking for backup. Now, before we get on to our being switched out to Thomas Roethlisberger. That's the first time I've said that name. I'm assuming it's pronounced phonetically, but I've had to be corrected in the past, so if anyone knows better, be sure you hit me up in the comments. And the story picks back up with Sonic holding out against the badnik assault. Normally these are no problem, but with their high numbers, they are giving him a workout. They aren't giving him a moment to figure out how to help the other Diamond Cutters. But thankfully, the horde is quickly sorted as a large bunch of them are crunched together and then blasted with a
I wonder why you're back this time. Huh? What is Blaze doing here? Did I miss something?
Huge fireball. And one last egg pawn is quickly torn to shreds by a spin attack and a Pico hammer to the face.
Sonic, my future changed again. Eggman's up to something. She's on vacation? I don't remember that.
Arrived in the form of Amy, Tails, Blaze, and Silver. Nice to see them again. And yet they've been around since the last annual issue. I haven't covered that yet. I've been meaning to, so let me know if you guys would like to see that. Now with things calmed down, Sonic can get the crew caught up to speed with everything that's happened so far. And Ian does something I've noticed a couple times before.
Do we have time for Blaze to return home? She could use the Soul Emeralds to cross dimensions and rescue them. That won't work. The Soul Emeralds can only transport me between your world and my own.
Or in previous stories.
And I can't freely travel time. Well, I'll tell you what.
Loopholes that could pop up with the broken powers of these animal people. They explain that the Soul Emeralds,
you remember when she talked to Knuckles about relaxing? What arc was that? I don't remember that.
By pointing out some limitations.
Like
Silver can't freely time travel, and Blaze can only hop between this dimension and her home one. So all of those abilities are out of the question in terms of tracking down Tangle, Lanolin, and Whisper. That limits their options to egg tech. Tails has pointed out how tricky it is to use in the past, but he has managed to reverse engineer it before. That's going to be their best bet. But first, the Fox wants to examine one of the many giant crystals protruding all around the city. Turns out they're more than just decoration. They do serve a purpose we will find out soon, as the crew rushes towards the closest crystal, not realizing that Tangle is right behind them, yelling for their attention to no avail.
What the hell?
The portal hasn't so much thrown them into a new dimension, but has just made them intangible and undetectable. They're invisible to the rest of the world. They're practically ghosts. Frustrated, Tangle turns to Lanolin for a plan, but unfortunately, the sheep lady feels completely defeated. She may seem bossy, but she is inexperienced. This is still her first mission after all, and unfortunately, she's completely overwhelmed, saying she isn't cut out for this type of stuff. Tangle tries to reassure her, but Lanolin isn't hearing any of it, saying she only formed this team out of desperation. After that first badnik attack she experienced all the way back in issue 2, she felt helpless, and she was determined to never feel that way again, or let anybody feel that way. But now they're here in this mess on her very first mission. She had led them to this, and she's taking all the responsibility onto herself. Tangle reassures her that mistakes happen. She's made more than her fair share, and she's had to rely on Jewel to bail her out. Everyone makes mistakes, and all you can really do is learn from them and do better. Lanolin doesn't have to shoulder all of this on her own. She has has her whole team backing her up. But when Tangle looks to Whisper to back her up, the wolf just asks why, shifting the topic to the team name, the Diamond Cutters.
I'm gonna read this dialogue. Hold on. What did you say here? I can be so short because we're the Diamond, because we're Sonic heroes. Oh, we are awesome and we never give up. Right, Whisper? Okay, and she says why.
Shifting the topic to the team name.
I will say this. I think the reason why I like Tangle so much is because I feel like the way they write her is how they should be doing Sonic. I swear to God. She's like female Sonic in like so many fucking different ways. And I swear to God, if they could just make Sonic like her, more like her in these comics, I would like it a lot. I would like it a lot
more. The Diamond Cutters.
Because I love Tangle. I love Tangle. So
she knows what Whisper endured. So why did the lemur think it was
but
a good idea
I would never forget
that
in the Metal Virus where Tangle's the one that tells Sonic, he's like, dude, you're fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. What are you talking about?
To the lemur, the Diamond Cutters
I would never forget
friends.
that.
They were cool and competent. She just wanted to give Whisper that feeling again, that camaraderie. And while I personally still think it was rather boneheaded, even for Tangle's character, the lemur has noticed how distant Whisper still is when it comes to a team setting and how bad things went the last time the wolf went solo. I'll be honest, this does still feel a little bit forced. I remember reading the preview pages for the opening of this issue and thought, why on earth, Tangle? Why would you do that? But to be fair, being a part of the team was an important part of Whisper's life prior to this point. And Tangle balls, apologizing again, saying that she was caught up in the moment. And Lanolin, who wasn't aware of the fate of the previous Diamond Cutters, says that they can still change the team name. She doesn't want to be offensive, but Whisper stops her. She now understands what Tangle was trying to do, and does say that the old Diamond Cutters were there for each other, and their wisps were, and still are, a part of her team, her family. And Sonic, Belle, Tails, Tangle, all of them have been there for Whisper, but she doesn't feel like she has been there for them. Still, Lanolin does understand if Whisper does have trust issues, but Whisper understands that only one person took her team from her. Only one person hurt her. The Restoration, Tangle, everyone else has had Whisper's back. She apologizes for being a bad team member and a bad friend, but still asks for patience. She's still gonna need time to move on. And having sorted the insecurities and the drama, the girls hug it out and come up with a plan for what to do next. They're gonna trust Sonic and the rest to figure out a way to bring them back. So in the meantime, they're gonna take advantage of being able to scout the city
little team dynamic bonds. I like it.
Group with the other heroes, they'll have a ton of data ready to go. Lanolin sends Maggie out, and the three others head towards the central tower, that being the most obvious starting point. From there, we turn our attention back to the tangible heroes, holding out against a new onslaught of badniks as Tails makes his way to the base of one of the crystals, connecting its wiring to his handy tablet. While that's going on, we get a cool little bit of action as Silver helps Amy grab one of the giant hammers of a super badnik and sends it smashing down on its face.
Oh, that's cool. Again, the hammer. And more hammer stuff, please. No tarot cards. Cool.
As Silver helps Amy grab one of the giant hammers of a super badnik and sends it smashing down on its face. And I love
people say, like, yeah, like, Amy be seeming kind of strong in this. And I'm like, I appreciate how cartoonishly strong these niggas are because, yeah, they are kind of pretty strong, right? At least, like, the Amy that I grew up with, especially one in, like, Sonic X and stuff, she definitely wasn't no fucking pushover. You know what I'm saying? She definitely wasn't no goddamn pushover. She would take that fucking hammer and beat the shit out of you.
Silver points out that Amy did most of the lifting there. Knuckles and Mighty get all the attention when it comes to strength, but Amy is low-key one of their best powerhouses. And she was a speed character in Heroes, too. Girl's an all-around badass.
Amy's strength is comedic in nature, yeah.
Why wouldn't they? That was awesome. And Tails is a little bummed out because, well...
I just wish they made her more of a hothead. I like hothead Amy. It makes her dynamic with Knuckles a little bit, too, because they're both hotheads and they bounce off each other well.
Something cool. But he has discovered what the giant crystals actually
are. So we can't show our female characters being
crazy. Chaos emeralds. Blaze is stunned, asking if Eggman can replicate them so easily. And Tails says, yes, he can. These crystals have the same energy wavelength and properties, but in comparison, they are woefully underpowered. But they're still more potent than Chaos Drives or Power Cores, both game elements that have never been fully explained, but we have seen them in the book previously.
Well, we have more info on the Chaos Drives, right? Because of Shadow Generation, so that's interesting.
The comic using these crystals in this way. Sonic Adventure 2 established that fake emeralds are a thing. Tails made one himself. And when you consider how often two of the smartest Sonic characters have handled and studied these incredibly powerful
Knuckles doesn't seem as
it
much
does
of a
make sense that
here.
Eggman would utilize that research.
He still has it,
Badnik and
but it's not like
I mean, he did that all the way back in Sonic 3 and
this is why I like the 4Kids era. Like, yeah, they might not like be like the best like voice actors, you know what I'm saying? But they knew they at least knew how to like get the most personality out of their characters, you know what I'm saying? In my opinion, I like all of them, like as just their voices, right? Some of them might get like annoying or whatever, but they give the most personality out, like they bring the personality out really strong, right?
Still, he can't completely recreate a Chaos Emerald, not perfectly anyway, which is why these crystals are so huge, to compensate for the energy production. And unlike a real emerald, that energy isn't produced by the crystals themselves, they have to be fueled by something, which is why they're sucking up all the natural resources. Then again, while it is a game mechanic, super forms, while they are instigated by the emeralds, do need rings to keep the forms going. And it's still really weird that the rings haven't been seen anywhere in the IDW series.
Oh God, look at his fucking hands. Oh, dude, that fucking hurt my hand. It's horrific. It's horrific. Oh my. Oh, Tails, get your hand away from me.
Eggman just used rings. I mean, he did that in the RGC. Never mind, forget it. Maybe the rings are a part of the natural resources getting sucked up. It's just strange that we have not seen them anywhere in the IDW series. That aside, I do love how quickly they establish how these characters handle situations. Sonic streamlines the explanation to simply, big crystals bad, so destroy them and you take out the problem. So he and Silver get ready to wreck them, only to be stopped by Blaze and Tails. The Fox says that would be a bad idea. These crystals are trying to replicate Chaos Emerald energy after all.
I'm sorry, man. I'm not buying that Amy will be exhausted after swinging a big ass hammer. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think
bad idea. These crystals are trying to replicate Chaos Emerald energy after all.
I'm trying to downplay my goat.
One could lead to catastrophic results.
Amy's my goat now.
Says that it would blow up.
What the fuck, Blaze? What are they talking about here? What are they talking about?
Bad idea.
Honestly, shattering something as powerful as an emerald, what are you thinking? That would blow up the city block along with us, and then the city would devour even more land to rebuild itself. So what? We trash this entire city by ourselves. You can't think of that. You can't think that's remotely possible. I'm just tossing ideas. This is fucking hilarious.
Catastrophic results. Tails says that it would blow up plenty of the city, sure, but the heroes would be blown up.
But it has so much space,
and the city would just eat up more resources to rebuild itself. Each crystal powers a portion of the Eggperial city, but they are all connected and controlled from that central tower that I keep mentioning. The best bet is taking that out before doing anything else. And, as Tails points out, it's also the best bet for Tails to reverse engineer the portal tech to save the diamond cutters. And I love the sass that Silver gives Sonic about needing a delicate touch right after he himself was ready to go in with the destroy everything idea. As they rush off towards the tower, Sonic does take a moment to reflect on what Lanolin had said, agreeing with her about the importance of teamwork. But that thought is interrupted by
what did that man what did that man out of voice said, bro? What did he say? You can't teach Sonic the value of teamwork. He already knows it. he already knows it. Oh, brother.
An explosion. Sonic tells Amy, Blaze, and Silver to keep heading towards the tower while he and Tails go check
Sonic
out
how to relax. He already knows.
The two fly off, noticing a bunch of wrecked badniks. And Sonic asks if Jewel had sent any other reinforcements, but Tails isn't aware of any. And the two look down to see Omega.
Oh my.
Rouge and Shadow demolishing a horde of badniks. Team Dark has finally returned.
He's doing the thing again. He's doing a Chaos Lancer. I like that. That shit's cool.
The series. And that is where issue 58 ends.
I'm gonna find out if niggas were capping, bro. Because I have not liked a single thing from this brother in this comic, bro. Not a single thing. And I don't give a fuck. You motherfuckers can defend that shit show in the Metal Virus all you want. You can try to make some kind of headcanon on why it works, right? Even though it's not written in the fucking comic. Let's see what they got, bro.
Welcome back to Sonic Speed Reading. We are right in the middle of the Imperial City story, and truth be told, there isn't too much left to cover in terms of the plot itself, but today I do want to focus on one particular character, that being Shadow the Hedgehog. We are finally seeing his return in the IDW story.
Look, it's fine, Chad, it's fine. We got Shadow Generations, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's way better than what we got, you know what I'm saying? Look. They're back on the right track. What people said about Frontiers, it's a step in the right direction. Now, I'll tell you what, I've seen this shit, and so this shit look fucking crazy, nigga. This I like
one
this
cover
shit.
Got a little extra.
So are we actually gonna get the androids in this shit? Don't answer my question, because if we get this here, I'm assuming this answer my questions, but I don't want any further details. Because I remember in the Whisper joint, the Shadow Androids was a part of her backstory. So are we getting that here?
Special attention because Natalie Haynes went ahead and made a shadow painting.
He does low-key get better,
painting, which
but
again
still
is
no
already
shadow
impressive. But this is traditional acrylic work based off Renaissance paintings. One specifically being the Fallen Angel. And I don't know if this is representing any other bits of art, having all these shadow androids hold up Shadow while all of the fake emerald crystals start to swarm around him from above. It's really cool. Looks like they're all coming up to trap him in there. I don't know. It's amazing. There could be other pieces there. I desperately want to do more art history after just seeing this one piece. This is incredible work. And yes, as people have already pointed out, and like I pointed out on my Minecraft video, there is another Christian painting reference featuring Shadow the Hedgehog. Okay. And then, hey, you consider that Jesus fish in Sonic are Christianity canon to Sonic? I've got good news for you. The issue picks up in the aftermath of Team Dark's assault on a wave of badniks, with Shadow and Rouge standing atop a pile of broken robots, with Omega standing beside it with a smoking gauntlet gun. Team Dark gives, I suppose, what you would call a greeting to Sonic and Tails as a new wave of badniks begins to prepare another assault, which is quickly demolished by Omega. I love that they get...
Put them things away, Rouge. Alright, put them things away.
I love that they get 2 panels on the first page and then they're just taken care of in the background. Sonic and Shadow do their usual flirt.
Sorry, Blue. I called my boys in to see what we could do about this. Okay, they just banter type shit. I'm glad that you want to come rescue little me, but as you can see, you're a little late to the party. What? Man, I'll tell you what, boy. What Rouge and Sonic got going on, man? Big Blue? What do you mean by that?
He's flattered that they came to rescue little
biggest of
Blues? But as they can see, they're a bit late to the party.
I'm the biggest Blue?
He says this as Amy, Silver, and Blaze arrive on the scene behind them. Shadow doesn't know what Sonic is talking about and doesn't care, and Rouge catches them up to speed.
Rouge would be one of Kubo's favorites.
Her arm around the hedgehog. Twitter lost their minds a little bit at this. Turns out she called Shadow and Omega to see what they could do.
Okay, hold on. I have no idea what you're talking about, nor do I care. Okay, Vegeta, talk shit.
Do about this big, brand new, problematic city.
Which
Omega was fine with because the more that Eggman concentrates his forces, that gives him more robots to destroy. Adam does so much storytelling.
Fuck, Amy. I don't know what she says there. If you didn't look so bitter, that's the problem, right? That's really the problem. It's all of this. It's not just this. It's this. It's this too, right? Like, why? Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? If he looked more like calm and collected or whatever, and was like determined, like, you know what I'm saying, like straightforward, like, okay, yeah, like what's the mission? Like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? It's a fact that like he's like,
forces, that gives him more robots to destroy. Adam does so much storytelling with his artwork as we see Amy jump between Sonic and Rouge, shoving the hedgehog aside and leering at the bat. She does know the bat. She is a good person, but she is always looking out for number 1, saying that's awfully altruistic for Rouge. And Rouge just smirks, saying, yeah, it is, isn't it? And if she just so happens to find anything interesting in Eggman's vaults, she intends to reward her good behavior handsomely. But for whatever reason, Team Dark is there. Silver and Tails are just happy to have reinforcements. They can all team up together to take down Eggman.
Sonic is kind of annoying. What was Sonic doing here? This is the justification I'm talking about, chat. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Isn't even a part of the conversation. He's been walking away for a minute.
But Sonic is
Rouge says no hard feelings.
But Sonic's annoying. What the fuck did he do? He didn't do anything.
Omega says he will attempt not to hit any of them in his crossfire. So hey, at least he's growing a little bit more polite from previous interactions. Sonic sneers, but I think he's only sneering at Rouge because he doesn't like being inferred as slow. But before the two groups can part ways, Eggman's voice rings out over the loudspeaker from his central tower. And it's been a while since we had a proper, big, grandiose introduction to one of his evil creations. And he tells us what we already know. This is his city of tomorrow, a self-replicating, self-repairing metropolis unlike anything the world has ever seen. And he goads everyone to go ahead and try to destroy the city. For every building they level, a dozen more will rise to take its place. And of course, he says that this is a special occasion, so it calls for a surprise. Something he's been holding on to for quite a while. And we get some of those giant fish badniks opening up their ports to reveal Shadow Androids. We have seen them in the comics before, but they were not multicolored like this. It's really cool to see them again.
No different colors.
The extra touch of the multiplayer colors. Not only
how would Shadow react? We recall the events of Shadow the Hedgehog.
Is it a fun callback, but this does also help differentiate them on the battlefield. And I also think it helps solidify that Shadow the Hedgehog is the only Shadow the Hedgehog. That was a whole thing during that game, and I still see fans speculate on whether or not he's the real one to this day. And at least for IDW, I think this helps show that Shadow is indeed Shadow. But anyway, we turn our attention to Eggman, who is watching the show below, high up in his tower, bragging that making Shadow robots was a bit of brilliance. Sonic's gonna regret coming back here, all this other stuff. But more importantly, we see that he has been spied on by Lanolin, Tangle, and Whisper, who, if you forgot, were somehow transported into an intangible dimension so they can just freely move around the city undetected. Indeed. Whisper and Lanolin begin to sneakily move around the Doctor while his back is turned. Tangle just walks right up to Metal Sonic and starts waving her hand through him. A stressed out Lanolin tells Tangle to get down, and reasonably, Tangle asks why. Nobody can see them, they're fine. So Lanolin quickly gives up trying to do this stealthily, and they begin to look around the room, but unfortunately Whisper catches the carnage below, which triggers a bit of trauma for the poor wolf. If you don't recall from the Tangle and Whisper miniseries, it was revealed that the original Diamond Cutters, her first team, were all taken out.
That's why she was like looking at Shadow like, when it was in that Battle of Angel Island shit, she was like, I'm about to up-look on this nigga.
Shadow androids. That was the only other time.
Can those two interact? Like, can they have like something going on there? Because like, he'd be like, oh yeah, the Shadow androids. Like, oh yes, I used to be traumatic by these Shadow androids too.
Isn't part of the game canon, just depending on who we're talking about this. It was only a matter of time before they showed back up. Whisper begins to break down, but Tangle is there to support her and help her through all of this, saying that she will not lose another team. They're going to figure this out. But while they're having a little support group up at the top of the tower, down below we see our heroes take on not only the Shadow android.
I thought this said blood. I thought it was like BLUD. You look at that here, blood. I was like, oh, what? I was like,
excuse me. Other badniks as well. What I find interesting, it seems that Sonic and Tails have never encountered Shadow androids before. I don't completely remember how the Shadow game played out, but I do know that he teamed up with heroes on each level. So anyone who's played that game recently or has a little bit better,
I'm pretty sure
let
it was
me
just
know
Omega.
If Sonic had encountered Shadow androids in that game, because
it was definitely just
interesting
Omega
little touch.
For both of those
anyway, these androids are proven to be quite the problem. They're unaffected by the fire abilities of Blaze, and his Pico Hammer doesn't seem to do much to them. They're not given too many other.
It's actually funny to think about. Because I remember Shadow the Hedgehog. It's like every time he chaos controls into that area where it's rather the cutscene where it's the Shadow androids, or it's the cutscene where Sonic comes down on like the tornado and spaceship thing. It's like, hey, we're going to the Ark. I guess that means we're going to. And I can just imagine it being that meme with the two crossroads. It's just the guy standing there, and it's either it's rainbows or like the dark path. But for Shadow, it's like the dark path. which is the Shadow androids, and then Sonic's also the Dark Path. We're just like, yeah, let's rock and roll as he's witnessing traumatic memories. I don't know.
So Sonic has Silver make a ramp out of the ground, and he grabs a hold of his friends and launches off, clearing some space between the
Shadow androids was such a nothing burger
as
Team
like Dark, seeing if they'll have any better luck.
That he set up making it think it's gonna be amazing,
but it looks like Team Dark's not having a whole lot of luck either. Omega's blasting them with everything he has, but they don't seem to be staying down. And Shadow says that the Doctor is trying to overwhelm them with numbers, but there's no strategy to the androids' movement. They're easily manipulated, so all they have to do
does he not
is
care?
I
kind of fuck with the fact that he wouldn't
care. Now this might not seem like much, but this is a massive difference from what we saw in the Metal Virus, and I think it's stuff like this that fans missed. We're seeing.
Let me read it. Okay, the Doctor's trying to overwhelm us with numbers, but there's no strategy to their movement. Easily manipulated. Once we move to a better position, we can take them out.
Shadow playing things much smarter when it comes to battle, but that grumpy arrogance is still well and alive as we see Sonic and Amy arrive on the scene as they're launched by Blaze, taking out the two androids in front of Shadow. And Sonic says, "You got some cousins you never told us about?" Shadow just sneers, saying that these cheap copies don't deserve to wear his face. I love it.
I like that. I like that.
Doing a better job of handling the androids, and Amy asks Shadow if he even knows what these robots are.
W interaction, actually. Okay, yeah.
But he knows that they are cheap copies made by Dr. Eggman. And Eggy's going to pay dearly for the insult. I do believe that this is indeed confirming certain plot points from that game. I like these little attentions to detail. But anyway, even with the heroes all teamed up here, we're still having a lot of problems with these androids as Omega is quickly overrun by them. And the usually calm and in control Rouge is looking a bit worried for her robot friend, saying to Shadow that now would be a great time to use those fancy powers of his. And they confirm here, which I'm thankful for, that it's impossible for Shadow to perform chaos control without an emerald. Or at least right now he doesn't seem to have the energy to perform it without an emerald. Tails points out that the giant crystals surrounding the city
what's the thing with that, chat? Is it dead ass like he needs an emerald like at all times? Or is it like, okay, no, he actually can't just like chaos snap without an emerald? Because I know like things like 06, it doesn't seem to be very consistent. I know things like 06, he doesn't always have an emerald on him, but like he's like chaos snapping like all over the place, which is a chaos control-esque ability, right? Or whatever. Or is that not, or is that separate? I need to watch a video explaining this nigga's powers, like
generated chaos energy. Shadow might be able to use that, but Shadow senses that the energy is distorted. They're fake emeralds, and he hates to stoop to using such a pale substitute, but it'll get the job done. So tapping into the power of the city itself, he uses chaos control.
This is tapping into a crazy deep memory of Nazo Unleashed, boy. I'll tell you what, this is tapping into a deep cut, boy. This is literally Dark Shadow from that shit. I was like, oh fuck, Dark Shadow.
Distorted. They're fake emeralds, and he hates to stoop to using such a pale substitute, but it'll get the job done. So tapping into the power of the city itself, he uses chaos control and launches around the battlefield, wrecking the hell out of his cheap copies. And you could tell Adam had a lot of fun with all of this action. It just goes wild. In one
They go back and forth whether they can he can do chaos control without an emerald. Nowadays they're trying to say he needs one.
Beautiful montage of a page. Shadow takes out all of the robots, and once he's done, he stands there calmly saying much better as body parts fall from the sky. Everybody cheers him on, or at least Tails, Amy, and Silver do. Blaze just looks shocked. I think this is the first time she's actually seen Shadow tap into all of his power. Rouge just flutters there, smirking. She's well aware of how capable her friend and co-worker is. And Sonic just looks kind of bored and unimpressed, saying maybe I should give it a try. I don't think he's used to not being in the spotlight. It's adorable. But Shadow's not done yet. But before he can do whatever he was trying to do, something is off. His entire body begins to shake, and another one of the fake Chaos Emeralds shoots out from the ground below. Something is happening, and Shadow says it's too much, and then lets out a scream as energy bursts out of him, causing even more of the fake emeralds to erupt, destroying much of the city around it. And all any of the heroes can do is run for their lives. Up in the tower, things are shaking and going to crap, but Eggman doesn't seem too worried about it. More irritated than anything, saying of course Shadow would cause trouble. We see on the screen the words emergency limiter activated. We're not quite sure what that is just yet, and neither are the heroes, who are standing from a distance on top of a roof, watching more and
Alright, Jess, so far, outside that one panel, which dialogue that could have been good if he didn't look, you know what I'm saying, look a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Total package wasn't there. But so far, I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot better so far. A lot better. It's a lot better, hey. Hey, I got your credit
out from the ground below, but it looks like they're finally calming down. Amy asks what the heck that was, and Tails says it was some sort of runaway feedback loop, but he's not sure if that was a security measure or a design flaw. And Sonic turns his head towards Rouge, saying that they're tough. Maybe the toughest. I do love the little details here. I'm not sure just how much any of these characters are allowed to emote, but that does feel very in line for Rouge. Does give some layer to her character. She's not just one thing, but it's still very important for her to remain composed, and she's doing her very best to be just that. And it's so subtly shown off in these little touches of the script and of course the art. There's a little white line in her eyeball, and I wonder if that's supposed to represent watering eyes and tears that she's trying to suppress. It's very subtle. I just love it. And we have Blaze and Silver backing up the positivity, saying that they're going to figure a way to save them. And Rouge just smirks, saying the way you stay so chipper is truly a wonder, Blue. And Sonic just...
Maybe fucking know that. Amy, you might need to
see the look on Shadow's face when we rescue his sorry bud. We turn our attention back to the central tower, where it seems the emergency backup power has booted the lights and computer systems back up. Eggy says the power's been restored, the Ignite towers are rebooting, and the undercity security only had a momentary outage.
Well, the circles on Rouge's chest, I think it's supposed to show like light reflecting off of it or whatever. Like, I don't like it though. I will say I don't like that.
Frustrated because he can't get a single badnik to confirm the location of Sonic and pals. They will explain exactly what happened and how Eggman managed to stop his city from falling apart in the next issue, but with the limited knowledge they have on hand, Landlin comes up with a plan.
Shadow just makes stuff more difficult when he shows up.
Saying that power surge nearly crippled the entire city, and if they could somehow trigger another one, a bigger one, and somehow stop Eggy from throttling it, that would take out the Eggperial city. But before they can figure out how to exactly do all of that, something begins happening to the three ladies, reappearing right in front of Dr. Eggman. Eggy remains unfazed and
what's up, bro?
Saying, I've seen you two before.
What's
and it
up
looks
with
like
this
you
nigga,
ran
man?
into my spatial displacement trap, enjoying the time left helpless and invisible, hey? So we do get a name for whatever that flying portal was. And being a good classic villain that he is, Eggman explains that those spatial traps were just early models. But not to worry, because he...
What's up with this nigga Metal Man? Hey, he's in the starter speed.
He has the latest, greatest versions right here. As the strange multi-sided die...
That would be a funny, it's funny, he talked about the, what they call the back doors, or whatever it's called. Damn, wow, I'm the head. I forgot what it's called. But fucking, imagine that shit, but it's metal chasing you around, and every time he gets close, it does a... And it just, like, fades away as you go. That'd be fucking creepy.
Just appears out of nowhere and then opens up, revealing a green portal inside.
Backrooms.
And Eggman says a trip through one of these should scatter your atoms into oblivion. Whisper tries to get a shot off with her Wispin, but Eggman just chuckles, saying, my trap separated you and your precious Wispin from normal space. You can't touch me. As we see a shot just go right through him. As one of the new traps powers up with its plates surrounding Whisper and dispersing her into a portal. Tangle attempts to run towards her.
He caught her like a Pokemon! What the fuck?
aid, but to no avail, and nearly gets caught in a trap herself until she's shoved out of the way by Lanolin, who instead gets caught in the spatial trap. Turning towards Tangle, saying, "Find the others, tell them what to do," before her atoms too are scattered across space. Now by herself and backed into a corner, the portal plates begin to move on to Tangle. But as she tries to lean up against the window, she notices that she passes right through. As Whisper had just confirmed, they are indeed visible, but they're still intangible. So, with nowhere else to go, Tangle leaps through the window, plummeting towards the city below. And that is where issue 59 ends. Now, there was a lot of conversation surrounding this issue leading up to its release and then when it did come out. Largely because
Mama, there goes that man type shit,
Shadow
right?
the Hedgehog. Anytime he shows up anywhere, you better believe you're going to have a large section of the Sonic fan base talking about it. He's an incredibly important character to fans of the adventure games, and they take his characterization very seriously. Last time we had a big chunky talk about him, it was during the Metal Virus arc, where we saw him.
I've seen this. This is the dumbest shits, bro. This is the dumbest shits, bro. I swear to God. It's the worst, arguments ever. And they're all stuff that's not written. He's like, oh, Shadow was probably... He they speak as if they wrote it themselves. That's the funniest thing, right? That's the funniest thing. That's what be blowing me, right? It's like Shadow was doing this. He was thinking this. It's like, brother, unless they put that in here, you're wrong.
Getting himself taken out fairly quickly, which didn't sit right for a lot of people. He did show back up not too long after that during the Chow race storyline, where it looked like they were starting to get him back on track. And I think here we finally see a Shadow that is a little bit more familiar to that part of the fan base. I don't know if he's still considered a bit too grumpy to some fans. I don't really care. Like I've said 1,000 times, I like a bit of edge to the Edgehog. I like a bit of aggression and arrogance. He did find the Shadow androids incredibly offensive, but he did keep a cool head through all of this, working with his team and trying to figure out the best strategy to take these suckers down. And
shit. So I can clarify that Shadow's pride is an ego tripping, like Metal Virus. His pride reflects reality. He's as good as he says he is, so Metal Virus doesn't even make sense yet.
Was still open to suggestion from Tails when he recommended using the giant fake emeralds. I think in previous iterations of the character, we might have seen him just scoff at the idea and just charge in and get himself really hurt. And yeah, I can understand how fans
Shadow would have fucking grabbed Tails by the fucking neck and choked him out and beat his ass because Shadow loves beating up Tails.
That's just a cheap cop out. I think everybody understands.
I think this analysis time, so we'll go to the next one. But okay, so far so good.
Disperse her atoms. Okay, so while Metal can't do anything to her directly, he can send them.
How do you feel about Metal in this shit? Outside of Metal himself, right? Metal himself. I think he's fine here, right? I think he's good. I don't like the whole he has to be Eggman's thing or whatever, right? I would rather him be doing his own thing or whatever, plotting his own shits to get back at that faker, right? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like outside of that, he's fine. I think he's cool. I think it's really cool. I just wish his interactions with Sonic were good. Holy shit, right? Holy.
I wish, right? That. Thankfully, Tangle is able to
glorified Bagnet. That's really kind of what it feels like. Yeah, man. And that's the biggest thing. But I feel like this is how the character is, and personality, I guess.
Because again,
it's fine. But I just don't like Eggman's super duper robot fiend guy, robot pet. I don't.
Can just slip through anything. So once Metal clears out, she pops back up into the city. She knows she has to tell Sonic and the others what just happened, but then starts thinking about Lanolin and Whisper, because they would know what to do, but unfortunately, they're no longer around. She's not even sure she can save them at this point, but she doesn't have time to think about it. She has to keep moving forward. So she uses her best instinct and decides to follow the plumes of smoke. That's as good of a lead as any. But as we see in
it's so funny, bro, because whenever I see people talk about IDW and stuff like that, they always emphasize choice, when it comes to Sonic, right? They always emphasize choice, and it's oh yeah, he chooses, chooses to do this. He gives him a choice to do that. And I was like, man, when has this fucking franchise ever been about giving people the choice to do this, that, and the third? What the hell are we talking about, man? I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of shit, bro. The airline's been a thing forever. It's like, no, this shit has never been topic of conversation since fucking IDW, bro.
Of the page, Metal Sonic will be following close behind her. We turn our attention to Sonic, Tails, Silver, Amy, Blaze, and
like, why does everything have to be about
Amy
giving somebody
Silver
the choice to do whatever the fuck
Tails,
in this
Miles
goddamn
Electric,
comic, bro?
Looking at a general map of the city and coming up with a plan. Not much is actually being said here. It's just a chance to really show off all the different personalities. Silver's confident they can win as long as they work together. Blaze tells them not to be rash. Rouge is focused on rescuing Shadow and Omega.
I'm sorry, to pause again, that it always brings me back to thinking about that one comment that we read on the channel, bro.
Love that. Tails is
when the nigga was saying that Sonic gave this, that, and the third a choice. He redeemed Gamma. Oh my god, that shit. I'll never forget that shit.
Calculating the odds. Long and short of it, Silver agrees with his friends, saying it does make sense not to rush things. And Amy
Oh my god, Amy! What the fuck? What the hell?
It's always best when cooler heads prevail. Just as Tangle pops up through the ground and through the Miles Electric, scaring the living crap out of everybody, and Amy reacts by slamming the Pico Hammer down over the Miles Electric. That was a cute little joke. I enjoyed that. Tails is devastated as he uses that stupid thing all the time, and now it's crushed to rubble. Also want to point out that if Tangle was tangible, she would have been crushed at that point,
fucking
but
good.
Whatever. Everybody's quite shocked at her semi-solid state, and Sonic quickly deduces that the portal trap they ran into at the beginning of this adventure is what caused this peculiar state she is currently in. But before they can do anything else, the portal trap returns and tries to trap Sonic. Metal Sonic has arrived on the scene. Of course, Sonic dodges without any kind of effort.
Oh god. More. We get more of it, chat. Yay!
And a fight breaks out between the two hedgehogs. But as they fight, the portal trap begins to hover around Silver, who was rescued at the last minute.
Haven't given up on you yet.
Recognizing that green light, Sonic realizes
Tackle that motherfucker!
Trap that took the diamond cutters. And thanks to Silver's power, they're quickly taken out of commission as he uses his telekinesis to crush the plates. Sonic and Silver get ready to fight Metal, but Amy is at her limit. They've got a ton of problems and they have no time, and she's just not in the mood. So she takes her Pico Hammer down once again and takes out the building they are standing on, or at least the roof, which crumbles under Metal Sonic's feet and traps him under debris. She's come quite a long way from being kidnapped by that same robot. Good for her. With Metal out of the way, Tangle can pass on the information she and the other diamond cutters got from the central tower. But first, she wants to know where Shadow ended up. As we turn the page, it looks like the group has split up, as we follow Blaze, Silver, and Rouge on the ruined city streets below, as they've now been covered in the giant fake emeralds, creating something of an underground wreck. It's kind of cool. Blaze tells them to keep their guard up just in case any more of those androids are still lurking around, and one takes a swipe at Rouge, so it looks like there might still be some functioning, but fortunately, they come across Omega, who is pinned under a bunch of debris, but thankfully he is still functioning. Only problem is they're not out of danger as the floor collapses beneath them, and they go tumbling down into the hidden bunker filled with giant egg mechs, which we saw first in issue 50, if I remember.
Is that the Egg Dragoon?
We see a bunch of wrecked egg mechs. We also see the trapped Shadow. As Rouge herself says, it looks like those fake emeralds had some nasty side effects. They have him trapped in what looks to be a comatose state. She moves in to rescue her friend, but unfortunately, between her and Shadow are a bunch of his fakers, as it seems some more of the Shadow androids have indeed survived. We turn our attention back to the rest of the group, which consists of Sonic, Amy, Tails, and Tangle, who I guess can sit just fine. I thought she would just fall through things. Whatever. Anyway, Tails has just gotten the elevator back up and running. Amy goes over the plan, which consists of first breaking into the control room, then having Tails disable the safeguards for the fake emerald power grid, and with that out of the way, they can rescue Whisper and Lanolin, and at the same time, crash crushing the system will stop the city from growing. But before any of that plan can go underway, they have to deal with the returning Metal Sonic, who is slashing at the rope for the elevator. The cable cuts and the elevator falls, but we have Tails, who takes the hands of Amy and Sonic, and I guess Tangle as well? I suppose she is tangible again, at least for this page. She's holding on to Sonic, and she's fighting back against Metal, wrapping him up in her tail to let Sonic escape. But they spent so much time establishing that she's intangible, and that comes back into play, so unless I'm told otherwise, I think this was a bit of an error. Anyway, we turn our attention back to Omega, Blaze, Rouge, and Silver as they do their best to fight off the Shadow androids. They're doing their best to make an opening to get to Shadow, who is still surrounded by the giant emeralds. But unfortunately, it is overpowering, knocking the heroes back. They can't even get close. But Silver, with all of his abilities, does his best to push back. He does get zapped as he makes contact, so instead he uses his telekinesis to try and move pieces of the rock away to get to Shadow. But it's growing faster than he can tear it apart. He's
Why didn't he try that first?
Abilities, but with a determined nod and a bit of support by Blaze, Silver doubles
my
down
best friend Blaze, yeah! Have I heard about the new Sonic race game? Nah, I actually never heard of it. Man.
His effort to save Shadow, moving off even more pieces of the rock. We then turn our attention to the central tower where Eggman is gloating, noticing all the disturbances from below the city. Eggy says that must be Shadow, his chaos control.
Blaze, I don't know you, little bro. That's what I need, okay? That's what all that call back to 06 bull, whatever the fuck. I don't need that. Oh my god, that 06 shit is so stupid, bro.
Fake emeralds unstable. He says, keep it up. The more they try to use his emeralds, the bigger they will get, and that will just provide more power to his city. Orbot points out just how dangerous that can be to the city's infrastructure, but Eggman, being Eggman, waves off the worries, saying that's what the safeguards are for. Even if the emerald's power overloads, he can just reboot the system again. But in the middle of his gloating, Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Tangle, who is still wrapped around Metal Sonic, even though she's supposed to be intangible, show up on the scene. Amy and Tails knock him off his throne, and Tails immediately gets to work on the computer. Tangle pops off of Metal, so I guess
so far, Sonic and Metal, I like.
They're not really conveying this particular idea very well, but whatever. Sonic and Metal Sonic
no weird stuff about, I haven't given up on you yet, Metal.
A bit of sass from Sonic, dodging all of Metal's attack, saying he wants to fight, not play patty cake. With the baddies handled, it looks like the heroes have everything under control, but leave it to Eggman to pull out his Glock and shoot Amy's useless hammer out of her hand. This distracts Sonic, who gets socked in the face by Metal, leaving only Tails up. He tries to keep going at the computer while smacking Eggman in the face with his tails. It's amazing. Looks like another portal is about to trap Tangle.
Oh shit, what?
Just before that happens, Tails clicks something on the screen, right as Eggman pulls him away with one hand. I love this. I adore Eggman treating these animals like obnoxious little pets. This is amazing. But Eggman just looks on in fear, telling Tails he has no idea what he's done. Turns out Tails did indeed remove the limiter, but now that means there's nothing stopping the emeralds from growing. And quickly, more and more spires of emeralds shoot out from the ground.
Wait, Chuck Tails!
Destroying the city around them, rocking the central tower. Eggman looks irritated and clicks one of his buttons, saying, fine. It's time for Plan B. Plan B being, of course, having legs shoot out from the tower and turning it into a giant egg mech, because why not? And that is where issue 60 ends. Issue 61 opens up with the giant tower egg mech, and it looks amazing. The two groups get back up on their feet, with Sonic saying that Eggman hasn't won yet, and Eggy, of course, saying, haven't I? His brilliant creations are more than enough to handle just basic.
They had to lock Shadow away, though, bro. That shit really crazy. They had to lock that nigga away. They're like, all right, we gave you enough decently written Shadow stuff. All right, we're tired. We exhausted our writing talents. We will seal him away for the rest of the arc, guy.
Adorable.
We ran
out
of ideas.
For another attack, but the smirking Eggman just snaps his
We don't know what to do anymore.
The portals that were once around Tangle turn their attention to Sonic, trapping him in a portal. And with Sonic out of the picture, Eggman sends Metal after Amy and Tails. Tangle does her best to fight back, but she is once again intangible.
Oh, now she's
fine.
Okay,
she just goes right through Metal Sonic. But as Metal pins Amy to the floor, Tangle once again reaches out and actually grabs Metal because, sure, who needs consistency? She realizes she's tangible again, but this unfortunately leaves her exposed to be attacked as Eggman grabs her by the shirt. Tangle does have her trusty tail readying up a
oh my god, here comes a giant fist!
Is sick and tired of all these stupid animals and takes his gun and puts it to Tangle.
Oh my god. Niggas when you up the pole.
My god,
oh my god!
Does this thing keep coming back because I keep joking about it? Is this just a fan favorite image? Eggman with the Glock? So yeah, the heroes are at a standstill with a gun.
Close enough. Welcome back, Shadow the Hedgehog 2005.
He comes walking into the room, and when Eggman asks, "Who are you people?" Lanolin responds by saying, "I believe you met our namesake, the Diamond Cutters. We serve as a small, specialized strike team that assesses danger and offers aid in extreme conditions, but we mostly intend to be a problem." With that final awesome entrance being finished up by an attacking Whisper, who lays down her blue hammer on Eggman.
Cube!
And who sends him spiraling?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it looks like Lanolin and Whisper are just fine, but before we can figure out how that happened, we turn our attention back to the rescue efforts for Shadow. Omega, Blaze, and Rouge can only stand aside as Silver does his best to remove more and more of the fake emeralds from the trapped Shadow. But as he's doing his best to remove them, we can see that more of the emeralds are surrounding Silver himself. Both the hedgehogs are now entombed, but Shadow finally, wearily says, "Get away." He's finally regained consciousness. He tells Silver that there's so much energy building, it's like noise in his head. His effort is of no use. His way of saying, "Go save yourself," and of course, an adorable little reference to Sonic 06, and Silver responds,
"No use! No use! Did somebody say no?"
As he should, getting irritated and repeating "no use, no use." He does love saying that quite a bit. He redoubles his efforts. He says that he's not giving up.
I don't remember the ending of Sonic Pride yet.
Neither is Shadow. He is the ultimate life form, after all. He's not going to let an overgrown rock tell him what to do. And with that, Silver finally clears the emeralds surrounding Shadow, who picks himself back up and says with a smirk, "You're right. I am the ultimate." We turn our attention back to that central tower. Tails quickly explains why the heroes are.
Oh boy, yeah. Oh boy.
Suddenly back.
Oh boy,
it seems
yeah.
the trap partially displaced their bodies, but with the city's computer systems offline, they're all shifted back to normal. As Lanolin says, they're back now. That's what matters. And she actually takes her bell off and it forms a handle. And she sends a shockwave out across the floor. Eggman finally is starting to panic, saying this is impossible. His city is perfect. And he sends Metal out to attack the heroes. But he's interrupted by the returning Sonic. Because yes, if the Diamond Cutters
when the Uzumaki Barrage! Oh god, this is also making me think about Nozzle Unleashed. And Sonic Battle, actually.
So too did Sonic, who boots Metal out of the window. With the opening, the Diamond
Sonic
Cutters
Colors
make
Fuck no!
And I love this, and I know other people have pointed this out, but this is almost like a Sonic Heroes group with these three. It's adorable. Hope we get some mods. Sonic looks down at Eggman's gun and pushes it under his sneaker. I guess it was about time to get that out of the picture. Eggman gets up, fuming, and Sonic says he's taking it too far. And he's in the Joker. Sonic is going to do next. Eggman can only look on, letting out an irritated noise as Sonic leaps out after the Diamond Cutters. He grabs a hold of Amy's hand, who is being held aloft by Tails, who asks where to now because there's nowhere to land. Just then, the largest of the emerald spires shoots out from the ground, rivaling the size of the central tower.
Close enough. Welcome back, Sonic Heroes.
And atop it is Rouge, Omega, Blaze, Silver, and in command of that tower is none other than Shadow. And now that the security system and the dimensional traps prove to be useless,
you know what I'm saying? It's going off like what we see across the hold on.
A good old-fashioned robot attack as he takes command of the mech directly. Metal Sonic, who is clinging to the side of a building after being knocked out, kicks off a little turtleoid. Oh no, you sweet little thing. And then rides the larger one and grabs a hold of Sonic. Rouge yells no, and Omega yells yes. And I gotta be with Omega. That's an awesome image. Metal Sonic riding a turtle robot to take on the regular Sonic. That is exactly my kind of thing. I adore this. It has everything that I love. Omega's excited to get into another fight. So Rouge, Blaze, and the Big Bot lay down some attacks against Metal. But while he's defending against their barrage, Sonic turns the table and kicks him in the face, sending his doppelganger into Omega's line of fire, taking him out of commission for the remainder of this story. The rest of our cast regroups on the giant emerald spire, just as Eggman lays down an attack of lasers, saying he's worked too hard to let this city go, and he's going to take them apart. But atop the tower, we have Silver and Shadow. Silver asks, how many more hits can we take? And Shadow says, enough to win this fight, and then lays out some corny, badass lines as he says, the city is a true monument to your hubris, Doctor. I'll show you the monster you've made. Chaos Control.
Okay, good, yeah.
Been missing. Embrace that crazy baby. He lets off that Chaos Control, and all of the fake emeralds
like this is give up 5 seconds
begin to light up. He has teleported all of the fake emeralds, but he is not done. As he says, these perverse emeralds connect your entire city, and with them under my control, you've built your own cage. And lets off another Chaos Control as more of the fake emeralds shoot up around the mech, pinning its legs.
I do like that. You might have to like skew like Shadow, you know what I'm saying, because I don't think he would give up that easily, you know what I'm saying? But I do like the fact that Silver instilled hope into him again, right? Because I feel like that's like what Silver's character is like all about. I do like that though. I do like that.
From down below, Sonic sees what Shadow is putting down and asks his friends to give him a boost. First starting off with Blaze, followed up by Amy's Pico Hammer. Yeah, they're doing an Advent Children, who cares? That's awesome. Finally flying high above the Emerald Spire, where we can see Shadow and Silver. And no, we don't see all three overpowered hedgehogs working together, but it is nice to see all three of them in the same panel, once again showing some 06 fans a little bit of love. But the big three. Love, we turn our attention to the panel right next to that one, where we see Tangle and Whisper holding hands, with a very interesting set of colors they're using for the backgrounds here. We'll cover that a little bit later, but for now, it's this duo's turn to get Sonic where he needs to go. He grabs a hold of Tangle's tail, and Whisper launches all of them up above the tower mech. As Eggman yells over the loudspeaker, if his city falls, there will be nothing left to divert power away from the artificial Emerald Network. Their destructive power is incalculable. He's the only one who can prevent it. And Sonic just says, yeah, right. Pleading doesn't suit you, Doc. And with a whip of her tail, Tangle launches Sonic into the mech, taking it out of commission with one powerful attack. As it crashes to the city below, Shadow tells Tails and Silver to go and protect the others. He says the Doctor was not bluffing. These emeralds are about to explode and take the entire city with them. Silver gathers all of the heroes close, protecting him under a telekinesis shield. And Shadow, standing atop his emerald spire, looking down at the exploding city below, unleashes one final
big three. Yeah, he said, "Battle, fuck the big three, nigga. It's just big me, nigga. Bomb.
Yeeting the
nigga, chaos control
city into space."
Oh,
awesome.
Really?
As we can see, the
that's cool as shit. That's cool as shit.
Into dust as we see multicolored explosions.
That's cool as shit.
In the skies above. The Imperial City is once and for all destroyed. Later on, we see all of our heroes relaxing at a picnic with Tails.
Okay, W Shadow. Literally one gripe, and it's just one little measly panel. I can overlook that. Hey, I'll tell you what, I can overlook that. Okay.
and Belle, who we haven't seen in a while, looking over a reconstructed Wispin for Whisper. And Sonic, laying in the grass, just looks on peacefully. Amy and Jewel bring out a cute little pink cake, and Rouge says it almost looks too pretty to eat. And I love Amy here, saying, well, you better eat some because I worked hard on this. And quickly sees that Rouge is holding something she should not have. Turns out it's an echidna artifact, something that Rouge found in Eggman's trophy room. And Amy scolds her, telling her to hand it over as the pink hedgehog will personally bring it back to Knuckles herself, which Rouge begrudgingly agrees to. And I love that the artifact looks...
Rouge need to go see her, man. Dumbass.
like something out of Sonic Adventure, not just in design, but how angular it is. It looks low poly. I love that attention to detail.
Oh, right. Okay.
Island, thanks to the recent release of Sonic Origins Plus. I wonder if they're going to do any kind of light retconning in that issue. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, Amy turns around asking, where's Sonic? And I love the little
like a Shadow again? I love Shadow. Just what the fuck they was doing at IDW Metal Virus, that actually was not it.
Of the tiny little hearts in her eyes. That's adorable. And Tails just says, oh, he ran off. You know how he is. As we see Sonic launching off a familiar checkerboarded bit of soil, launching off into whatever adventure lies ahead. And that is where the story ends. Now, there are a few things I do...
I like that! Okay, yeah. Nothing was pissing me off. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong there. Wow. No think piece, no nothing. I got nothing. That was really fucking good.